much. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming just
Thank
for
you.
us. Please,
Whatever.
wherever you, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
How should we?
Tim, want
how
to
should
sit
we go?
right next to each other?
Not really. I mean, no offense, but can I
use
angle? Is that all right? Or can we do this? Is this a bit cozy? Probably. Anyway,
This is perfect.
this is perfect. Great.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Mickey,
much.
for joining us. I have some questions myself, and then we'll ask some questions from the audience, I
Good.
guess. Do we want to start by just explaining? I mean, Rakuten,
Okay, of course.
the company, and
Right.
how you operate in Japan, and how you're expanding out of Japan pretty fast.
Okay. So I'm the founder and the CEO of a Japanese internet company called Rakuten. We founded Rakuten in 1997, and our main business is e-commerce. We basically do what we call B2B2C marketplace. We are very shop-centric e-commerce marketplace. It's a little bit different from the marketplace of other players, such as Amazon and eBay. We really empower the small to medium-sized merchant to sell their product online. And basically, we provide the system, we provide expertise, we provide the traffic. And right now in Japan, we have about 40,000 merchants selling over 100 million SKUs. And the gross transaction is about this year reaching to 13 to 14 billion euros.
Okay. And how many users do you have in Japan?
We have about 75 million registered users, which is about close to 80% of total internet population.
Right.
Right. And so beyond that, we expanded to travel, online finance, and credit card business, and we do about 38 internet-related businesses in Japan.
Okay. But a lot of your strategy going forward is trying to expand out and globalize the country, the company rather. I mean, you've done more deals than I can fit onto an iPhone screen in the last sort of couple of years. I guess in the UK there was Play.com,
yes.
Price Minister in
France.
and a little company called Pinterest in America that you took a stake in last year. Just sort of tell us about why that's important to expand globally, and before we talk about them individually.
Of course, there's two reasons. One, we believe our business model is very unique, and we can create so much value in other markets as well. We can help the medium to small-sized merchants and brands to sell their products very well using our expertise and platform. And two, I think definitely, Japanese market is the I think second or third largest market in the world. But having said that, there's a tremendous opportunity outside of Japan. So why not try to do business outside of Japan?
Yeah, but it's not. It's a. I don't know. You take quite a different approach to running your company than some Japanese executives. The
yes.
language.
Yes, language.
You're teaching everybody. And how many people do you employ now? And how many of them speak English?
Well, so I have been thinking about how we can really become successful globally. And the first thing is I'm a strong believer of the quality of the service of Japan. If you go to Japanese hotels or restaurants, you will enjoy extremely high level of the hospitality. You don't need to necessarily go to the very, very top end Michelin restaurants, but even if you go to the very standard restaurants or hotels, you will never disappointed with the quality of the service in Japan. So I think this is the core of our globalization. But on the other hand, flip side of the coin is Japanese people are a little bit shy, not so trying to be stereotyped, so to speak. But I found that we need to create global sort of organization with the Japanese service mindset.
Okay.
And I've been thinking about how we can do it, and my conclusion was, okay, why don't we communicate in English, even in Japan? So I started a project called Englishnization, and told them that within 2 years, we are going to convert internal communication language of the company from Japanese to English, even in Japan.
Wow.
But because of that, now we can have many, non-Japanese executives. 30% of new hires are non-Japanese. Most of our senior engineers are non-Japanese.
Right.
And Japanese employees started to benchmark the sort of a global top leaders of each services rather than trying to compare themselves with Japanese domestic competitors.
Okay. And so, how much have you spent on investments and acquisitions in the last couple of years outside Japan?
I don't know. I have never calculated.
All right. Okay. I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars, I guess.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yes.
And what do you look for in a company when you're trying to identify? Because you've picked some quite well-known brands, but some of them on the up, and some of them who maybe we associate with the sort of 2000s kind of era technology companies or e-commerce companies.
Right. Well, I think most of the internet business is about how to get to the critical mass, right? For the marketplace, there's enough traffic, so we can attract more products and the merchants who want to sell. So how to get into this critical mass is very, very critical for us. In most of the cases, in all these mature markets, it's kind of difficult to build from scratch.
Yeah.
So we decided to buy some company which has either traffic or the product to begin with. So we bought Play.com, but now we are converting the business model of Play.com aggressively from first-party sales to the marketplace. Like we are bringing our Japanese model to UK. In France, Prime Minister was C2C, basically marketplace platform. Now we are bringing in B2B2C model to Prime Minister in France, and all of them are working extremely well. And the other type of acquisition or investment is to really, grow our scope of the business, represented by the service like Kobo, which is one of the global leader in ebook business.
Yeah, and do you expect you'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars more? I mean, is this something that you can keep funding from the Japanese business and keep making acquisitions, or have you sort of got enough to work with now?
Well, we don't have a budget. Recently we closed a deal to acquire the Spanish video streaming company called Uwaki.tv. Uwaki is right now operating only in Spain, but our ambition is to start using Uwaki platform, start providing video streaming service in other European countries as well.
Okay.
So
this is like the sort of Spanish Netflix or Lovefilm.
Spanish, exactly. Okay. And I think it's better than that. But
okay.
But having said that, it's not really a matter of the size. Some of our past deals, which was not so big, but turned out to be very, very good ones. So we are very optimistic. Even if sometimes if it's big, we will try to get it. Even if it's small, if we believe we can grow it fast, I think we will do a deal.
Okay, and as I said, you led the fundraising round in Pinterest, which must have been a pretty competitive deal to get into, given the excitement around that site at the moment. What was it that you saw in Pinterest, and what did they see in Rakuten? Because I know one of the things that distinguishes you when you started the company in the 90s, it was all your own money. You never took external funding, and which is quite unusual, I guess, for this sort of.
Well, the Ben and I and we get along very well together.
That's a good start.
Yes, because Rakuten is about sort of discovery shopping. It's not about just a price or the convenience. It's about how to find very unique product and how to connect retailers and the consumers. And the Pinterest is about really connecting the interests of the people, not about how to get you reconnected with your friend. So it's totally different from Facebook. And we are a discovery shopping site, and they are sort of discovery interest kind of SNS. So we believe there's a huge strategic synergy between us and Pinterest, and that's why we get really connected when we had a meeting, I think.
Okay, and how will you help them to monetize that platform? Because you have a large affiliate network as well, which you operate.
Well, of course, that will help them, but the monetization is basically their initiative. But things we can add is basically maybe using our affiliate network platform, Linkshare, for them, or maybe using Rakuten platform in Japan to get some sort of the percentage of transaction using the Pinterest. Okay.
The other thing that I thought was quite interesting when we were talking about the Pinterest deal before is the, I mean, you talk about it, so discovery shopping, the search engines when you know what you're looking for, but something like Pinterest or social shopping is when you didn't know you want it, and in a way that might be a sort of bigger kind of brand building opportunity, and it also talks to your sort of theme that it shouldn't be like just kind of online shopping shouldn't be just like using a vending machine or something, I think was the phrase you used.
Yeah. Well, I believe what excites us most is we trying to empower medium to small size merchants, which has a unique product, and build the fans around those brands or shops. And we empower them to create a connection with the consumers. Philosophically, it's totally different from Amazon. And we don't want to standardize the user experience or user interface. We would like to create very personalized, rich experience rather than just seeking after the convenience and efficiency.
Okay.
So I think shopping is not just about price and efficiency. It's about how you can enjoy the product you buy and the process of purchasing product itself.
And does that mean that you get higher sort of conversion rates for your customers than Amazon? Does that mean they spend more on your platform than Amazon's?
Well, we don't know exactly what is the conversion rate of our competitors, but one thing I can tell you is probably for most of our clients, the conversion rate of our service is better than their independent websites,
so
web stores
for
the merchants.
Okay.
And the customer acquisition cost of using our service is much lower for them. So that's why all these major brands, global major brands, are starting to use our platform in Japan.
And what's the kind of price? What do you charge people to be on the site, and where else do you make?
Well, we charge the monthly fee and percentage of transaction. Monthly fee is something around 200 euros per month. You can list as much product as you want.
Okay.
And with regard to transaction volume, it depends on how much you sell. It ranges from 2.6% to 5%.
Okay.
So
and how does that compare? Very low. How does that compare with other platforms?
Other platforms, I think, to be honest, a bit higher than what we charge, I think.
Okay. But so it's still, I guess the kind of the opportunity that people always saw of e-commerce online was that you could start up on your own. You didn't have to pay rent to a mall or something. But if you think the kind of the services that you offer around marketing and customer acquisition.
Well, if you think about customer acquisition costs and retaining them and running your IT, basically 2.6% is very, very competitive pricing. And there is no reason to leave our platform and start your own service. And versus, on top of that, if you charge too much, they cannot compete against first-party sellers. So
right.
if you come to our site in Japan, most of the product we beat our competitors in terms of price. 95%, 90% of the time, it's cheaper.
Okay.
On our website because we don't charge much.
And how close do you think you are to recreating the sort of service that you have in Japan in other parts of the world? Do you see the same sort of scale yet?
Yes. What we found is this B2B2C marketplace model, shop-based marketplace model, works very well in other countries as well. If you go to our buy.com site, it's now called RakutenBuy.com. You see from the top page, it's totally different. Buy.com used to be electronic product discount brand. Now you can see, you can feel the presence of the merchants.
Right.
Now, because of that, the transaction volume of Buy.com marketplace is growing very nicely. The Play.com, we introduced shop-based marketplace model. Price Minister, it was C2C marketplace. Now we are really enhancing our B2B2C model.
Okay.
So universally, I think our model works very well.
Okay. And where, as you look across the globe in places you are or places you aren't, where do you think is the kind of hottest e-commerce market at the moment globally?
Everywhere.
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 Okay.
It's about
But it's
retail.
a more mature technology, or internet penetration must be better in some places. Well, I mean, a lot of people are talking about Indonesia or Brazil.
Well, it's just a matter of time difference, and you know, we're talking about several years, not hundreds of years or not tens of years. We're talking several years difference, and I'm sure that emerging markets e-commerce is going to be major portion of retail. Maybe more than it is in developed market, because they do not necessarily need to compete against, you know, legacy physical retail, business.
Right.
The e-commerce can become the standard for buying some sort of products in those emerging markets if we can provide very good logistics service in those countries, which is a little bit challenging right now.
Yeah. What's the ratio in Japan of high street physical retailing to e-commerce? What's the
you mean high street?
The market share of e-commerce overall?
Well, there are so many statistics.
Okay.
And it's very difficult to tell, but our guess is somewhere between 7 to 10%.
Okay.
Right.
But so you think it could be bigger than that in some emerging markets?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, even in Japan, now people started to buy groceries. They started to use Net Supermarket. We're going to start Net Supermarket in Japan too.
Right.
They started to buy more fashions. But there are still some segment of the people who have not really used e-commerce yet.
Like what?
Like very, you know, sort of mid-aged people, mid to old age people, don't have really good experience for using PC.
What about the kinds of goods that sell less well?
Well, in Japan,
thing?
for Rakuten, our product portfolio is probably totally different from major players in the world. For example, our food section, gourmet food section, is very big. The fashion, we sell over 4 billion euro per year, and it's growing very nicely. The home decors, sporting goods, of course, the electronic products and packaged media, we are very strong, but more towards longer tail products.
Okay. But as you said, you have the Kobo platform and Raki as well. You're sort of going from being a physical retailer to having to do digital deals with big studios and publishers and things. That's quite a different sort of a challenge, as well as expanding into new markets. What's your kind of pitch to the media world?
We don't have the expertise in that market, so that's why we acquired Kobo,
right?
And that's why we acquired the Waki. And the Kobo is already in Canada, France, UK, Germany, Netherlands, Australia, New Zealand, soon to be in Japan.
Right.
And we are expanding faster than our competitor.
Okay.
Uaki, they create a very efficient platform in Spain, and we're thinking about expanding into many countries as well.
What do you? I mean, what's Kobo's main advantage over the Kindle? Do you think? Because I mean, the Kindle is doing pretty well in the markets where it is at the moment.
Well, in terms of a terminal, many magazines nominated Kobo as the best e-reader terminal, and we have a more partnership-oriented deal than our competitors. In UK, we have a partnership with W. Smith. In France, we have a partnership with Fnac, and in Canada, we have partnership with Indigo, which is a large book retailer in Canada. So we have more partnership-driven approach, and sometimes our competitor very scared their local players. They're very afraid that they're going to destroy the entire market.
But we saw Waterstones do a deal with Amazon over the Kindle sales, even though the chap who runs Waterstones had previously described Amazon as the devil. So they can obviously still do deals with people who think they're quite scary.
I'm not in a position to talk about the particular deal.
Okay.
But in some cases, they're sometimes devastating, and they don't have any alternative.
Okay.
Because we already signed up a deal with W. Smith.
Yeah.
But the deal is doing very, very well. The Fnac deal is doing excellent.
How important is it for online retailers to have a high street presence? Because we've seen sort of eBay do pop-up stores at Christmas and that sort of thing. And obviously, as you say, for things like for demonstrating products or something, I mean, do you see yourselves moving back from the web onto the high street?
Well, there is certainly a certain trend for what we call O2O business. O2O, offline to online business.
New acronym, great.
Maybe like a Groupon kind of coupon business is one format. Like having a sort of what we call the antenna shop for like eBay shop or Rakuten shop, whatever, is another format. We're going to see more hybrid type of offline and online. And for example, we're going to start doing net supermarket in Japan. Definitely, there's a strong, synergy between. There's no reason to chop off offline world and online world. And there's huge, potential in this segment. Even
do you get bogged down in the messy business of building shops and staff and lower rents and all that stuff that brings down your profitability, don't you, if you start getting into the physical world? That's why people went onto online in the first place.
Well, we have not done it, but in Japan, for example, we do what we call food fair, like Rakuten Food Fair, partnering with department stores. Because we gather all these, the top food merchant of Rakuten, and have an event at the department store. And in a week, we gather about 400,000 people coming to the department store and trying to taste it. They want to, see it.
Right.
Of course, we do our best to, communicate with customer, but sometimes that's not good enough. Sometimes people really wanted to try those food. So. And we are very surprised by ourselves that how effective it is. Internet is not just about transaction. It's a media. And you can use those media to attract to the physical stores as well. Okay. So we don't want to eliminate or completely compete against all these retailers as well.
Okay. We've got about 5 minutes left. So are there any questions in the audience down here at all? I find it really hard to see. There's one right in the middle.
Hi, thank you for being here. It's great to see you here. Actually, you are very different from the typical Japanese CEO and president. So I was wondering, can you explain us, is the new generation of CEO and president in Japan is going to be like you now? Or are you the only one of a very a strange species.
You're not wearing a tie, for instance.
Well, nobody's wearing a tie.
Yeah, okay.
It's against our industry rule. Certainly, I'm a little bit different from the traditional Japanese CEOs, but I get along with them very, very well. I'm very, how do you call it, different and very straightforward. For example, I quit the largest Japanese economic lobby called Keidanren, and there was a huge coverage about that.
And how did you quit that?
I just tweeted, I'm going to quit.
Nice.
But new generation is coming. They are more globally minded. And still, I am trying to encourage them to, try to be more global. I'm in the process of trying to influence them as much as I can. But I hope we're going to have more Japanese entrepreneurs in this event as well.
Another question about the e-commerce in Japan. So you're looking for a lot of companies to buy around the world. That's wonderful. What about innovation, web innovation in Japan? Do you think it's strong? Do you think Europe is a better place for innovation? What do you need actually to beat the...
Yeah. For example, the Rakuten model is the thing we innovated. There are many companies. Basically, they studied our model and doing in other countries. I cannot, give you the name, but many CEOs sort of confess. We learned from your service, and we're doing that in my country, including big companies. The social game companies are very unique in Japan too. If you think about the functionality of the smartphones, all of them we did way before. When the ages of feature phones, we had a camera, we had internet access of the internet. But sadly, they didn't have a global mindset to really make it to the global standard. So that is a shortcoming of Japan. We are very innovative, but unfortunately, it's a little bit inward looking. I know many CEOs of Silicon Valley come to Japan and research what's going on in Japan. And they learn it and take it back. There's so much innovation going on, but unfortunately, it is kind of contained in the Japanese market at this moment.
Okay, good.
You need the web in Japan too, right?
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Can you hear that? Excellent. Any more questions?
In the
So, yeah, there's one at the middle at the back.
You've got one coming there. Hold it close to your mouth.
Hi, I'm Dennis from Riedel. So I have this question. We all know that Japanese market is really specific. So what would be your advice for tech companies trying to expand and tap into Japanese markets?
Certainly, it's much easier than Chinese market, I think. We don't have any sort of rules to, block the foreign companies coming to the Japanese market. Twitter is very strong, Facebook is very strong, Google is very strong. But I think you need to localize your service a little bit in Japan. For example, eBay came to Japan a long time ago, and they tried to basically enforce the American UI and experience to Japanese consumers. But it didn't work at all. I think you need to have some good localization manager, and try to fit in to local market as much as you want. But many people who has been successful in Japan say it was initially a little bit challenging and difficult. But after you establish yourself well in Japan, it's going to be much more profitable. The size of the consumer market is pretty big in Japan. So, please try to come to Japanese market as much as you want. And if you want, please contact me and I will help you.
Great. Any more questions? No? Am I being shone in the eyes, or are there no hands going up? I've got another couple Okay. You mentioned the logistics question about emerging markets. Actually, that was something I was going to ask you about. How far is, as you expand globally, is that something that you have to do in the back end as well as the consumer-facing side of things? How far do you? I mean, you've invested, for instance, in Ozon in Russia, which is a phenomenal company, but partly because it's had to build its own postal network, basically, in order to deliver the goods that people buy online. Is that something that you see happening in other new economies?
I think so. I think so. Of course, that is not our intention to compete against logistics company in those markets. But if there is nothing available, we don't have alternative to build on our own. So we try to partner with local logistic partners as much as possible. But if there aren't any, then I don't think we have any options. So we will build on our own. We are doing a little bit of that in Indonesia. And after we do it, we found the transaction will really grow. So something which is kind of given in developed markets are not given in emerging markets. But if you can provide that, you can certainly create the huge advantage.
Okay. And just to sort of go back to the beginning of your story, that you decided to sort of start yourself rather than taking external investments, but now you're an investor yourself in many other companies, both individually and through Rakuten. What do you think makes a good investor, and why didn't you want to take anyone else's money in the 90s?
Well, I had enough capital by myself to start in a much larger scale. But I kind of instinctively knew that I am going to run this company for a long, long time. And I wanted to build the substantial presence to prove that Japanese entrepreneurs can make a global enterprise. So I thought that creating a very strong culture in the company, it is better to keep independent. If you think about, for example, Google or Facebook, now they have a luxury of using classified stock. So they only list sort of non-voting shares to public. That's why they can keep their strong leadership and initiatives, right? If you don't trust us, don't buy our shares.
Right.
And shareholders don't have any rights to influence, their decisions. There should be a strong controversy about that. But I think the fact is because of that, the management of Facebook and Google can take a very aggressive and strong approach to it. But you have seen totally different scenarios in other companies. The way I thought I can run the company for a long, long time is I keep the substantial ownership of the company. Obviously, I'm in the process of decreasing in it, but that's the way we thought.
Okay. And so, but what do you think then makes a good investor? What do you kind of when you're mentoring? I mean, what would be your kind of what are your usual tips on the sort of management of fast business?
The business model is very, very important, but I don't invest into the business model. I invest into the people.
Right.
I trust the entrepreneurs, and of course, business model, sometimes it works very well. Sometimes it will hit the ceiling, and they need to change the business model. I'm going to help them. So we invest into the people,
right.
Not necessarily to the business model.
Okay, great. That's where our time is up. Thank you very much indeed, Mickey, for taking the time.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Take care.
You.